For the third year and counting, Richard Skipper has been celebrating the artists you love. Richard Skipper is all about celebrating life, art, and his guest body of work. Please join us while he showcases these diverse and talented individuals. Here's Richard Skipper.
Primitive though it may be, any Congo thing or bongo thing is just the music for me. I gotta hear that beat, that crazy tom-tom beat. I gotta hear that beat when I dance. Then I'll hope the whole night, raise the roof the whole night. Crazy rhythm goes to my soul and it's dynamite. I gotta hear that beat, I gotta hear those drums. And even when it comes to romance, when I feel that I might fall, I always stall and play it smart until I hear that beat. I gotta hear that beat, that certain beat in my heart.
Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Richard Skipper Celebrates. Who or what are you celebrating tonight? Tonight, we celebrate 100 years of Ann Miller. Today is her birthday. That's not all that we're celebrating. I want to celebrate a very special man, and that is Ron Lytle. Now, Ron reached out to me just a couple of weeks ago, and he said he would like to sponsor a show, not just any show. Could we possibly sponsor a show celebrating Ann Miller? Well, he didn't have to twist my arm twice. He specifically asked for this date, and lo and behold, and I know it's Ann up there pulling strings because she had a psychic connection to all of us. He wanted this date because today is her actual birthday. And we started pulling strings, and I reached out to Jarrett Morley, who put this, Jarrett Winters, who put this montage together, and everything started falling into place. And here we are. So, Ron, I celebrate you tonight as well. So, how are you?
I'm fantastic. And wasn't that clip fantastic?
Those clips, I mean,
Yeah.
what an amazing career. But beyond that, I only had the luxury of meeting Anne once, and that was in 1998. Here we are. Look how young I am with my husband, Dan. She was appearing, of course, at the Paper Mill Playhouse in Follies. And I had a very dear friend, Dick Kelly, who was very good friends with her. And so he called her up, said we were coming to see the show, and he arranged for us to have a light supper with her. And I love this photograph. I'm going to bring this on again because she came out of her dressing room. Here's another photograph of her outside. And you, of course, were backstage at the Paper Mill Playhouse. Those dressing rooms were the size of shoeboxes. And so she comes out of her dressing room and she says to us, do you mind sticking around for a few minutes? I want to take off my makeup. And so we waited 45 minutes. She came out and this was her street makeup. I didn't care. I was so thrilled. She sat down and had this incredible dinner with us. And it was almost as if we had been friends our entire lives. I mean, she was not she didn't put on the airs of being a star or anything. She was asking us questions about our life. She was so interested in who we were, and she was thrilled that we were there, and asking us what we were thinking of the show. We looked at her performance, everything. I mean, she was that young girl from Texas. She was so down to earth. And I know in conversations that you and I have had, that you had the same experience with her. And of course, you had a deeper and a longer friendship and a relationship with her.
Absolutely down to earth. And just, I was thinking the exact same thing that you just said. Always so interested in knowing, what did you think? I remember the same thing after Follies. Really interested in not just what do you think of my performance, but what do you think of the piece? And I remember that same thing with Mulholland Drive. Did you ever see Mulholland Drive? Right.
That was her last performance as well. And I mean, she got a whole new fan base at that point in her life and career.
Yeah, and genuinely interested, I think, because she didn't understand the movie. Who does, right?
I still don't understand it.
So, just really interested in what did you think of it? What does the audience appreciate? So I enjoyed that. I like that you brought that up.
Now, how did you meet her originally?
I met her at the St. James Club in the early 90s in Beverly Hills. I think it's condos now. And a friend of mine was very good friends with Anne. And he would send me things from her, like we'd swap videos. She didn't have certain movies. I'd say, oh, here it is, give it to her. She'd, then she'd send something back through him to me. But I had never met her before that. I'd had all of these near misses that really sort of drove me crazy. I never saw Sugar Babies, huge regret. I mean, I've seen it on tape from her, actually, and out of town tryouts of Sugar Babies, but I never got to see it in the theater. We went to, my partner and I went to see it in the early 80s when it was on tour. She was out.
Mm.
We made plans to go see it when she took it to London. They closed the show early before we could get there. So finally, I got to meet her just at a social event in Beverly Hills in the early 90s. That's a long answer to your short question.
Well, thank God I got a chance to see her in Follies, and I know that you did too. And you and I were talking about this earlier as well. And to this day, and I've seen some of the greatest names in the business, but the electricity that went through the house when she performed, there was nothing like it.
It was incredible. It's the only time I've experienced that too. Never got to see Judy, but I'm sure it was the same the times or the time you were there where we were sort of raised out of our seats even before the number, like just before the conductor quite cut it off, right? We just sort of like en masse as an audience. I saw it twice only, but happily. And we just all sort of rose en masse. And yeah, it was thrilling.
Well, I have a dear friend, Danielle, who's watching, and Danielle and we are like psychically connected. And Ann Miller was, very much, involved. I mean, she was connected to the psychic realm. Did she ever have those conversations with you? I'm just wondering.
No, and I don't want to overstate my relationship with her.
Mm-hmm.
Anne was always super friendly to me, super great. We were not friends that way. She would recognize me. She was always very kind. She would come into town. I'd get a postcard from a secretary saying, we're going to be in town at this event. Come see us. But no, never a conversation like that. But certainly I'm aware of it, as we all are. And she talked about it a lot, but never to me personally.
But tonight you are very close friends, okay, on that level. So you're making we're making a big production of it, right?
Absolutely.
So before we go a little further, and we are going to bring someone on who was a very close friend of hers, but before we bring her on, we have a special message from our sponsor, and here she is. And from well, let's have a little soup.
Yeah.
Boy, am I hungry. What kind of soup is that?
Make way for the great American soup.
Can you give me that again?
Up at the Ritz, they passed the word to 42nd Street. Make way for the great American soup. Hey, mister, have you tried the soup that's good enough to eat? Shake hands with the great American soup. Feel that rhythm, guide your feet on the soupy road to romance. Let's face the chicken gumbo and dance. Who's got its noodles up in lights from Broadway to the Loop? It's the great. I said the great. It's the great, great, great American soup.
Emily, why do you always have to make such a big production out of everything?
They don't make them like that anymore. But we have Penny Davis with us, and Penny, and I'm also going to bring on David Michaels, because David Michaels was responsible for getting Penny on the show tonight. Last minute surprise for us. Penny, you worked with Anne for many years as her dresser. So they say only her hairdresser knows for sure, but only her dresser truly knows for sure. So thank you both for being here. So Penny, how did you and Anne, first of all, come to work together? And being a dresser for anyone, and I know in this business, it's a very special bond and relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She had come down to Miami. Well, she did the 3 cities in Florida to do Mame with John Boab directing. And because it was a complicated show, I was the wardrobe supervisor at the Cogan Grove Playhouse in Miami. But because of whatever, they had me go with her the whole time, Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, and then Miami. And it was the end of our season of winter stock. And she was hired to go into the New York company and asked me to come up with her and be her dresser. And I usually had the summers off, so it was a perfect opportunity. We thought we would both be there for 6 months. And she reinvigorated the show. The show was on its last legs, and she just revitalized it, and it lasted, I think maybe about 10 months longer than it was anticipated to run. And that was it. And then she went back to California. I stayed in New York because I got another job offer right away. And then she was going to do the show in Los Angeles. And
Oh no.
sort of, we worked out the differences that had come up in the New York company. And so then I was with her for, I guess, for about 5 years. And
Wow.
I filled in sometimes on Sugar Babies. As I said, I became her mammy in chief, I called it, because I trained people to work with her, because when I turned 25, I was much too old for her. I couldn't keep up with her.
When for those who don't know, when she did come into Mame, and John Boab, who was scheduled to be here tonight, and I hope that he's going to be able to get on the show, he was responsible for her doing Mame in the first place. Am I correct?
Absolutely, yeah. He directed it in Florida, and then he directed it again in LA. And he just was, I mean, he believed in her. And I mean, he's a wonderful man. And he just really pushed her when others around, it was a very tired company. And Anne, I always said, Anne didn't know how to mark a show. So if she was rehearsing, she rehearsed full out. She never knew how to just, take it easy. And at first, I think there were a little bit of a resentment, because the company was they liked being tired and old, and just sort of made them. She dragged Gene Saks back into that theater to direct her, the original director, and he, gave her a day or two when we were doing the put-ins for her in New York, and she never didn't. There wasn't a lazy bone in that woman's body, and she didn't know how to be lazy. And so it made a lot of the people in the company rose to the occasion.
So when she was asked to come to New York to do Mame, was there any hesitancy at all on her part, or was this something that she was eager to do?
She was like, well, let me at him. No, because Anne was not really doing, to the best of my knowledge. I mean, I only knew of her from 40s movies. I was, 21 years old. So she was not, an icon to me. It's just, I knew who she was. But my background was mostly theater, not film, and so this was a big chance for her to get and it just started her career all over again, and he was thrilled.
Sorry, David, how long she was in the show for a while, and then it transferred to the Broadway theater, am I correct?
Mm.
Yeah, Penny, were you with her in another theater first?
We were at we started at the Winter Garden in May of 1969. She started, and then I don't remember when we came over to the Broadway, but we did at some point. We came over to Broadway and closed it there.
Long time.
Well, here's someone who can tell us a little bit more about that. He's made it here, folks. John Boab is here. John, you made it.
Well, you can blame Betty Davis and Mr. Skeffington. I was watching Mr. Skeffington and totally forgot. Isn't that awful? But it's Betty Davis's fault, not mine.
Well, you'll have to go back and watch the rerun, because we were just talking about you.
Oh,
so
okay.
Your timing is impeccable.
Well, you can see me, but I look like
shit. No, you look great.
Great.
So, John, can you tell us a little bit? We were just talking. Penny Davis is here, of course, and David Michaels and Ron Lytle. If you can tell us a little bit, you were responsible for Anne doing Mame, and
Yeah, well, I'll
in
tell
the
you
whole.
the background on it quickly.
Yes.
Uh, when I was offered the job, it was in Florida, and the reason we could do it while the Broadway production was running is in those days, traveling companies did not go to Florida. It was too far away. So they offered me this job, and it would be 3 shows in Florida. And they wanted me to do it with someone I was trying to think of it all day, Kay something with blonde hair. And I said, no, I want to try Ann Miller. And they went, ow, they thought I was crazy. But I did get her in the first city and in one of the Florida cities. And she was so incredible that I called New York and said, listen, she's packing this place that normally doesn't get half an audience.
Palm Beach.
And I said, and she's wonderful. I think, I'm talking to the producers in New York. I said, I think you should bring her in. And because the show was on the verge of closing in New York. So we brought her in, and from the first minute, she was a sensation and packed the thing. And you'll love this. At the one point when we were doing Young, I Feel, the big dance number, she sings and then she has to go upstage. And of course, all of a sudden she's upstage and I hear, and it's whispering louder than life. And it was the people in the balcony could see her changing into her tap shoes. So, yeah, she was really wonderful. I mean, I could yell and scream at her because the longer we ran for a year on that, but the truth is, her hair got bigger, and her skirts got shorter. And
Well,
but
Penny,
we did
weren't
it
there
again.
like a whole bunch of those wigs, the bubble wigs? They were like
The bubble
6
Oh
wigs,
yeah,
Yeah.
and
then
then of course we did it for quite a while.
I told her on Facebook today. Then she had one time city event one day, and I went to the hotel to help her get ready for it. And she's crashing around the room, and she suddenly starts saying, "Where's my Ann Miller wig? Where's my Ann Miller wig?" I said, "What the hell are you talking about?" And she's, "My Ann Miller wig, my Ann Miller wig." And she ran into the closet and she pulled out this wig case and opened it up and took out this big bouffant side swept hair. She said, "This is my Ann Miller wig."
Did she emphasize this?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I always thought she was so lovely because she'd come to the theater just with her natural
Right. Hi, David.
hair. Hi, John. How are you?
I'm okay.
But
Anyway, I did bring
with
some.
her hair. Yeah.
I brought a couple of pictures of me with Anne, and do you want me to show them?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Can you see that?
No, you'd have to put it in front of the camera.
You have to put it like right in front of your face, I think.
Put it in front of your face.
I've got it in front of my face.
No, you don't.
No, we're not seeing it.
Oh God, what are you guys doing to me?
We're looking right at your face, John.
Well, why is it doing that?
Bring it down.
Right in front of your face.
And then turn it around. There you go.
Now we lost him.
Oh no.
Oh no.
So hopefully he'll come back.
He'll be
So
back.
while we're waiting for him to come back, David, do you, if you can recall the first time that you met Anne?
Yeah, it was. This isn't that well told a story, but through a bunch of bizarre circumstances, little David, at 20 years old, barely, became the doorman at the Broadway theater, the backstage doorman. Which is, and it was usually like an old man who would do that or what. And it was thrilling. And I jumped at the chance when it happened. And I was there for a bunch of shows. That's not what we're here to talk about. But I was there for part of Cabaret and for all of Pearly and for, I mean, just a
I'm
lot
sorry
of
to
great.
say I have no idea to get it. It just doesn't seem to want to go in front.
Well, if you can, well, we'll figure out somehow that I will get them somehow on camera or something later on, and we'll figure out a way
Okay.
to get them superimposed at a later time.
All righty.
I'm just
And
thrilled
I've got
you're
3
here.
of them. One with Walter Cronkite, and they're good. They're good pictures. Anyway, she was a joy to work with, absolutely. And the first time I met her, and I think you get a charge out of this. I met her at
She wasn't.
one of those big restaurants, old-fashioned restaurants on Sunset Boulevard. Her agent set it up, and I walked in, and her first words were, "Oh my God, I didn't know that producers could be so young and so handsome." So, but I couldn't imitate Anne if I tried.
Who
She
could?
was,
She's great.
yeah, she was just extraordinary, really. A lot of stories about her with Christmas cards, and it never ended that there wasn't something you had to do when she was in New York.
Well, John, did you get the chance to work with her again after doing Mame?
After Mame, no. That was about whatever. I was very busy, I think, going into television at the time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
the
think
TV
that
stuff.
Anne got connected with somebody who put her in a couple of shows after we had done Mame. And she did great business, you know. But I know that I wasn't available for any of them, and so the hair got bigger without me.
Yeah.
Now,
Do you know what astounded me, Richard?
yes.
Because there was a movie star coming into a Broadway show. Yeah, which
Yes.
is a good thing or a bad thing, right? And I was so the thing that blew me away immediately was her voice.
Right.
I mean, it was a voice like a trumpet. It was like, I mean,
Well, there's
it was
no
just
question.
strong and beautiful and loud and exciting she was not, so it wasn't like something that the movies enhanced. She actually sounded better than she ever sounded in the movies, I thought,
When I asked her about it, and as far as the films went, she said, "I don't know. One day I just opened my mouth and the songs came out." She took it as I think a God-given thing.
Mm-hmm.
That she was lucky, but she actually felt that one day she just started singing, and but I agree with you that the singing was quite extraordinary. She had perfect pitch, and she was loud.
Just
which
that
was,
the first note of It's Today, and she had the
yeah.
Yes.
She had the audience. It was.
I want to share a clip with everyone. Maybe you've seen this, maybe you haven't. This is a clip that was from the movie Ziegfeld Follies with Judy Garland, but Ann Miller did it on a television special. It's A Great Lady Gives an Interview. And I picked this clip because it shows her comedic timing, and it also shows her off as a singer. So I'm going to share this, and we'll meet again here on the other side. Don't go anywhere, anyone. So here it is.
Okay. You all look so tiny.
We are here to interview a lady known to you because of her ability. And the glamorous, amorous lady they call
Madam is expecting you.
She's news. She's front page stuff.
She's headlines.
She's tops. And in advance, the critics are all at court. She's gonna win the next Academy Award. All her fans will be excited, not to mention quite delighted at her personal appearance presently. She's tremendous, stupendous, elastical, terrifical. She got it, but definitely the glamorous, amorous lady they call.
Shh, Madam is coming now. gentlemen of the press, madame.
Oh, darlings! How utterly charming of you to have dropped in like this. How simply marvelous of you to have dropped. Well, you have dropped, haven't you? And oh, gentlemen, just look at me. You've caught me so pitifully unprepared. And now, gentlemen of the press, members of the Fourth Estate, what can I do for you? Tell me, darlings, pray do.
We're here to pry into your private life. We're here to seek your every secret. We're here to scoop a scoop, definitely. What is your next vehicle to be?
Of course. Now about my next picture. You know, gentlemen, I'm faced with a curious problem. Shall I always be dramatic, biographically emphatic? Shall I devote my life to the legitimate art? Or shall I do what I adore so and do my acting with my torso and give all the natives a start? Must the studio exhibit me in roles that so inhibit me I feel just like a soldier out of step? But would the episode outlive me? Would my public quite forgive me if I tried to show the world I'm really a hit? But you darling, you dear, adorable boys, you've come all the way up here to hear about my new picture. And I'm going to tell you all about my new picture. What is my next picture? No, don't tell me. Let me think. I know it must be here somewhere. It really must be here. Yes, Madame Crematon. Gentlemen, Madame Crematon. Madame Crematon will be a monumental biographical tribute to a monumental biographical woman who toiled, searched, slaved, suffered, pioneered, so that the world, you and I, could reap the benefit of her magnificent discovery, the safety pin. Now the picture starts in a dark and dingy tenement flat in Amsterdam. That Harlem, you know. Gretchen Crematon was a very brave and a very noble woman who, against the wishes of her father, the Baron, you know, married this young inventor who didn't have a sou. Penniless. And there they were in Amsterdam.
In Amsterdam?
Yes, there they were in a dark and dingy tenement flat with no food and no heat and no money for to pay the rent. But did they care?
No, they don't care.
Madame Crematon, she don't care, for she saw the light just the other day. Since then she's been trying to find a way to bring to the world a big event. And so she did.
And so she did.
Duty, Madame Crematon did. She toiled and strived and sweat and slaved and stretching her mind and beginning to rave. But the price she paid was worth the pain for all a cold and frosty moan.
Oh, no!
The safety paying was born.
She had it all.
I'd never
Yeah.
seen that. My gosh.
Isn't that fun? I mean, Judy Garland, of course, did that in Ziegfeld Follies, but
Yeah.
and then
Without
there's also a clip of Lana Turner doing this on the Ed Sullivan Show.
I'm also
Oh,
guessing.
thank you. I just finished telling David
Ah,
that I thought I remembered Lana doing it.
Yes, yeah,
yeah, I'm guessing whoever did that closed captioning had a short career.
I know. I realized that too as I was watching. Penny, I wanted to ask you.
What was that on? Where did that air?
It was a television special. I think it was the Hollywood Palace. That she
I
did.
think it's
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Perry Como.
It was Perry Como.
I
Yes,
think so.
Yes. Penny, I know that she did Dolly as well with the Kennedy Circuit. Did she
Yeah.
ever express a desire to come to New York to do Dolly?
Not particularly,
Not
no.
with me, she didn't.
No. Kenley was wonderful. He put great shows on, and I don't know. I'm trying to remember. It's sort of an odd story. We had a very quick change after her tap number in Dolly, and she came off, and it was like this Beanie and Cecil moment. She came right off into the first portal, and we're doing our quick change. And she suddenly stopped cold. It was on a matinee. The audience was going crazy applauding. And she suddenly stopped, and we were eyeball to eyeball. And she said, I don't understand what they see in all of this. I said, neither do I. And then we went on with this quick change. And then we both burst out laughing. But no, I don't know that I don't remember her ever saying anything negative about Dolly, but I don't think she really loved it.
Okay.
Same with in Can. And Can was, she didn't have enough to do in Can. Anything Goes was the one that was the one that got away.
I saw her do Anything Goes, I think, didn't she?
She
Isn't
did
that
it
what I
at
first saw?
Muni Opera, but only for a night because she got bonked on the head. And then we did it here in Miami.
Right.
We did it for 2 weeks in Miami at the Gusman Hall. And I was telling the guys before we went on the air that her back. Remember Bailey Howard was a great friend of hers, and he owned 2 Chicago newspapers, a wildly wealthy man, and he was going to financially back a production, but he died suddenly right after we finished the Miami engagement, and that was the end of that.
She did it at Paper Mill also. Did you dress her at Paper Mill for that one?
No, by that time,
When did
after Miami.
When did you do Anything Goes at Paper Mill?
77, 78, somewhere in there. She did it with Bobby Van too. I can't remember if that was the Paper Mill production or not, but she toured it with Bobby Van also.
Okay, because we did it when we did it in St. Louis. It was Michael Callan and Pat Paulson.
Wow.
Oddly enough. And then she got bonked during Act 1 on the head with the boom. And the understudy finished out the week. One of the chorus girls. So it was kind of a crazy week. And then in Florida, I'm trying to remember I don't remember who was Billy and who was Moonface. I can't remember. I used to have such a
try harder.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I'll look it up because no, it's odd because I used to have one of these incredible, airtight memories, and well, now I don't.
Penny, did you maintain a relationship long after you started working together? And when was the last time that you saw Anne?
The last time I saw Anne was she called. As I say, I trained dressers when I got too old for her. And I said, but I'll train people to work with you because she was very specific. Mm-hmm. And when I say difficult, I don't mean necessarily unpleasant, but you had to be right there. And so I did train people to dress her. One night I was home. I wasn't working at the time. She called me. She said, Penny girl, you got to come down. And she was doing Sugar Babies on Broadway. She said, you got to come down and dress me. My dresser's out sick. I said, and I don't know the show. I've never seen it. And I'm sure that the wardrobe supervisor has it all under control. And no, I want you to come down and dress me. Anyway, eventually, long story less long, I called the wardrobe supervisor and I explained the situation. I said, I'm not working. I'm happy to come down and learn the show if you want. And I said, and then, and so that turned out to be sort of a happy, I filled in on Sugar Babies in general. And then I dressed her when her dresser would be out, because that was a funny show.
Well, as I'd mentioned earlier in the show, as a friend, she was, there was no one like her. When she was doing Follies with Meredith Patterson, who unfortunately was unable to be here tonight. She played the young Phyllis in Follies, and Anne said, "You're going to make it to Broadway. And when you make it to Broadway, I will be there for your opening night." And not only did Meredith make it to Broadway in the revival of 42nd Street, but Anne flew to New York to be there for her opening night and threw, this great dinner for her at Sardi's in her honor. That was the kind of person she was.
Yeah.
Great.
Just incredible. David, when was the last time that you saw Anne?
Well, I guess we're going to skip forward about 30 years from Mame. And I was working for the Actors Fund in Los Angeles. And actually, Richard, the same show that I've talked to you about before, the Jerry Herman tribute, the one with Angela and Carol, we had a moment in the show where all the Broadway Mames paraded across the stage. It was really kind of thrilling. And so I was on the phone with her, talking her into doing it. And she was, quite honestly, she was kind of frail, it seemed, by then. And because I asked her, I said, "Don't you want to do a number?" And she actually laughed and she said, "Oh, honey, we're way past that. No more." So she agreed to come. She was absolutely delightful. She looked great, and she did parade across the stage with Jane Morgan and Janice Page and all the Mames. And it was a really thrilling moment. And so that was the last time I saw her. I think she passed on like a little less than 2 years after that.
Are there any pictures of that event, David?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I should try to find that, because I'm trying to remember a picture of it. There's got to be. I will look for you, Ron, and see what I can find. Yeah.
Thanks. Love to see that.
I'm looking up, and somebody named Ronald Young played Billy in the Miami.
Ron is a dear friend of mine, and Ron, unfortunately, is technologically challenged. Otherwise, he would have been here tonight. I hope he's watching. Ron, if you're here, I love you, and learn this. So I want you here. So,
you could be talking about this, Ron, being technologically challenged.
Yeah. Also, funny, this Penny, you might have told me this anecdote, but she had a house in Beverly Hills on Alta Drive. And if you're driving down Sunset Boulevard, there's the sign that says "Welcome to Beverly Hills," and then there's Alta Drive. And there was a story that one night, late at night, she and her mother snuck outside and moved the sign. So to be sure that their house was in Beverly Hills. I'm sure that's not true.
But David, you got to give Anne credit. The fact that you just said she and her mother, she was extraordinarily close.
Yeah.
But I wanted something occurred to me that was funny. We were talking about Anne dressing. But when I took Anne out, which I did many evenings, and I'd go pick her up and I'd stand at the bottom of the staircase at her home, and she would start coming down the stairs and I would just look at her, and she'd turn around and go back and change. She would, without hesitancy. All I had to do was go. And because there were times that she looked absolutely stunning, and you would think she had the best taste in the world. And then the other times you said no.
But if she didn't feel it, I've got another clip I'm going to share, and this is a clip that a lot of you have seen. I know this particular episode of this show, and you're all going to know it as soon as it starts. Was written by my dear friend Ray Jessel. God bless him. Ron, you already know what I'm about to show, so you're all going to get a kick out of this. But I thought because they don't make them like this anymore. Here they are.
Love, come aboard. We're expecting you and love, life's sweetest reward. Let it flow. It floats back to you.
Show, my Aunt Sylvia. Excuse me.
Make way for the star of my son's show.
Meet my Aunt Sylvia Banning.
How are you, Mrs. Banning?
Delighted to meet you. I'm so pleased you're going to be in my show.
There's only one star in a show, and when Millie is in it, Millie is it.
Lucky us.
Who is this boy?
Your son and Gopher really wrote a great script.
Well, talent just naturally runs in our family.
Sure, I'm going to like it.
Well, I don't care if you don't. He's not changing a word.
Oh, ain't you sweet?
Welcome, everybody. I'd like you to meet my favorite ex-mother-in-law, Connie Carruthers, the Belle of Broadway.
Hi. Oh, the Belle of Broadway. That's got a great ring to it.
The song in my heart.
Here comes my mom.
And there goes my hearing.
Now, Mom, I want you to meet all the other ladies in the show.
Yes, I'd love to meet my supporting cast.
I'll give her a supporting cast on her leg.
Now, let's not be violent. On second thought, let's.
Girls, you wouldn't dream of laying a hand on another trooper. However, I do have the name of a good hitman in Detroit.
Aw, come on, girls. I'm only kidding. Let's be friends. I'm the greatest star. I am by far, but no one knows it.
Wait, you're going to hear a chord. A silver flute. They'll cheer each toot when I expose it.
Can't you see to look at me that I'm a natural Camille? As Camille, I just feel I've so much to offer.
No, I'm the one who'll be divine, 'cause I'm a natural pauper.
Some ain't got it, not a lump. I'm a great big clump of talent.
Laugh, honey, they're gonna bend in half. Did you hear the one about the traveling salesman? 1,000 laughs. Stick around for the jokes. 1,000 faces. I reiterate, when you're gifted, then you're gifted.
These are facts, I've got no axe to grind. Hey, wanna be mine? In all of the world so far, I'm the greatest star.
Who is the pimp with pizzazz? Who is all ginger and jazz?
Who is that glamorous as?
Who's an American beauty rose with an American beauty nose and 10 American beauty toes?
Eyes on the target and wham! One shot, one gunshot, and bam! Hey, Captain Zooming, here I am. I'm the greatest star. I am by far, but no one knows it. Who's the best
So when you're all ready, we're all going to go on the road.
That's her Ann Miller wig.
Speaking
Yes.
of going on the road, I know I was late, but I've also got to leave early.
Oh.
So I
Well,
will say good.
John,
It looked
before you
wonderful.
go,
Thanks for
before you
inviting
go,
me.
John,
But she was
any
very special.
any final words that you want to say before you leave?
Me? Yeah, how
Yes.
about goodbye?
Okay.
Oh, no,
It was
I
wonderful
really
seeing you,
enjoyed
John.
it.
Great
It's
to
good
see you,
seeing
John.
David, and the best of you. But I do have another. I'm sorry, this has been one of those days, and I'm losing my voice. But
Well,
God bless you all, and God bless Annie.
yes.
Okay.
John, thank you for being here.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure.
Thank
Take
you
care.
so much.
Hi, John.
Bye, John.
The great
So
guy.
would it be irreverent to tell the story of the tap number in Mame and all the mishigas that went on with it?
No, go ahead.
Penny, I don't know, but
Wait, what do you mean?
well, you know that they changed "That's How Young I Feel" into a tap number,
Yeah.
and they had to write a little scene after it
Right.
because she would go off into
She,
the wings.
Yeah,
And-
she would get oxygen.
and she would take oxygen. And it was, you know, I mean, it was just kind of comical because up to the last row of the balcony, you could, I mean, you could hear it through the entire theater and nobody seemed to care. And I don't even
Really?
think,
Oh, I
I
didn't
don't
know
think
that.
she needed the oxygen, quite honestly. I think it was kind of a diva move.
No, she did, because she would come up, she'd plop down, because it was, you know, a very quick change. That she would come off, she'd sit in the chair, her hairdresser would start messing with her hair. I'd slap the oxygen mask on her face, then I'd get down and change her shoes. And meanwhile, she'd be pulling the mask off and going, "Powder puff, calm, mess with lipstick." And screaming for all this stuff. And but no, because she had the oxygen on. That's what's so interesting, because she was never a smoker and yet she died of lung cancer. But she had
I've
oxygen
known many people to die of lung cancer who never smoked.
Yeah, and but she always had oxygen. She had it. She didn't on Dolly, now that I think of it, but she did on Mame, whenever we did Mame, and she did when we did Anything Goes.
Where did they put the tap number in Dolly?
In Dolly, it was
So Long, Dearie.
So Long, Dearie. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
And Can, it was the courtroom scene. That was really absurd.
Well, I cannot believe how fast this hour flew. Ron, I'm super happy.
It's wonderful.
No,
I wish
everybody stick around for a moment. I am going to give my closing comments. Anne is going to have the final word tonight. But
You would love that.
I'm going to give each one of you a chance to give your final comments. It can be about anything that we spoke about tonight that you want to build upon, anything we didn't talk about that you wish we had, or just any final message you want to leave everyone with tonight. And stick around for the closing credits. I got a little surprise for you, Ron. So I want to thank you all for being here tonight. I know that you could have been anywhere else tonight, and the fact that you chose to be here means the world to me, and to Anne as well. Anne will never go away. She's still here, as you're all. I have a candle lit for her tonight, and she is truly, like I said, only that one afternoon that we spent, but that afternoon still resonates so strong and so deep with everything that I've done. Ron, the fact that you reached out to me a couple of weeks ago and suggested this show means the world to me. And I just want to tell everyone out there, and Ron will attest to this, if there's anyone that you want to celebrate, reach out to me and we'll celebrate them as well. Everyone is worth celebrating. That is my motto. And I end every show by telling everyone to go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. Pick up the phone and call someone that you haven't spoken to in a while. Not an email message, not a text message, not a private inbox message, a phone call. And let that person know how they've made a difference in your life. You have no idea how it will matter in their lives. I have a dear friend, he says, we're all in the same storm, but we're in different size boats. I don't care what size boat you're on, as long as you have a skipper by your side. And with that note, I'm going to leave the screen. I'm going to turn it over to you, David, and then Penny, and then Ron. You will have the final word, and then we'll turn it over to Anne. And thank you all for being here tonight. And I hope that you all will stay in touch. David, it's all yours.
Yes, I'll just say very quickly, the 20-year-old boy, who got to work with Meet the Movie Star, never knowing that my career was going to turn into working with celebrities. But she was my first movie star, and I would stand in the wings every single night and watch her. She was a mesmerizing performer, and I just feel really blessed to have gotten that close, and also the 30 years later to have kind of gotten to say goodbye, which just kind of made it very sweet. But I have only really wonderful memories of her, and just a very exciting part of my life.
Well, she started my career in New York that lasted 42 years. Thank you, Anne. And she certainly was a oneer. So I will say, can I say one little quick story about the singing?
Please.
She taught me a very valuable lesson when at one point, when she was going to be on the Dick Cavett show, the old talk show, they wanted her to dance. And she said, no, I won't dance. She said, but I'll sing. And they were upset about that. And I said, Anne, what are you talking, why? She said, I don't give away what I sell. And I said, what do you mean? She said, nobody knows me as a singer, and I want to get known as a singer. And she said, everybody knows I'm a dancer. And she said, if I do it for free on the Johnny Carson show or Dick Cavett, they're not going to pay me $2,500 to appear on Hollywood Palace or whatever that the Dean Martin, whatever that was Hollywood Palace. And I thought that was a really valuable lesson, and I've had words to live by ever since then. But that was her reasoning. She was an amazingly smart woman, one of the smartest women I've ever met. And she had a lot of heart, and she didn't miss a trick. She saw everything that went on around her. And I loved her. She drove me nuts sometimes, but I loved her. Oh, Anne. Happy birthday.
Thanks, Penny. That was great. Thank you, Richard, for doing this. This random person reaches out to you. Although we've been connected for a lot of years, I feel like we have we're supposed to know each other, so I'm glad that we do now. But thank you for doing this. Thank you, Universe, for making this happen. The schedule was open today. Thanks to Anne for all the years of entertainment and inspiration. She was important to me when I was really young, got me through some tough times, and I appreciate her to this day. And thank you, Anne. Goodbye.
Good times and bum times, I've seen them all, and my dear, I'm still here. Plush velvet sometimes just pretzels and beer, but I'm here. I've stuffed the dailies in my shoes, strummed ukuleles, sung the blues, seen all my dreams disappear, but I'm here. I've slept in shanties, guest of the WPA, but I'm here. Danced in Mustantes, $3 a night was the pay, but I'm here. I've stood in bread lines with the best, watched while the headlines did the rest. In the Depression, was I depressed? Nowhere near. 'Cause I met a big financier, and I'm here. I've gone through Dandy, Windsor, and Wally's affair, but I'm here. Amos and Andy, mahjong and platinum hair. But I'm here. I've gone through AB's, Irish Rose, 5D on babies, major bows. Had the heebie-jeebies for BB's, bathysphere. I've lived through Brenda Fraser, and I'm here. I've gotten through Herbert and J. Edgar Hoover. Gee, that was fun and a half. When you've been through Herbert and J. Edgar Hoover, anything else is a laugh. I've been through Reno, I've been through Beverly Hills, and I'm here. Reefers and Vino, rescuers, religion and pills, and I'm here. Been called a pinko, commie too, got through it stinko by my fool. I should have gone to an acting school, that seems clear. Still someone said, she's sincere, so I'm here. Black table one day, next day it goes into hot, but I'm here. Top billing Monday, Tuesday, playing in stock, but I'm here. First you're another, slow-eyed vet, then someone's mother, then your cat, then new career from career to career. Well, I'm almost through my memoirs, and I'm here. I've gotten through, hey lady, aren't you who's this? Wow, what a looker you were. Or better yet, sorry, I thought you were who's this? Whatever happened to her? Oh, good times and bad times, I've seen them all and my dear, I'm still here. Plush velvet sometimes just pretzels and beer, but I'm here. I've gone the gamut, A to Z, cheers and death, say la vie. I got through all of last year, and I'm here. Lord knows that she's not living there, and I'm
An hour never passes, but An hour never passes, but I think of you. An hour never passes, but I miss you too. Every day from dawning till the moonlight's glow, you're beside me, darling, everywhere I go. An hour never passes, a clock never chimes, but I keep